Good morning, dear ones, and welcome to our first ever affiliated New Thought Network retreat. We're so glad to have all of you with us. I invite you to please mute yourself, at least for now. We will set the tone for the day doing amazing things with Megan McDonough singing Amazing Things.
Thank you, Jerry. Good morning, my beloved and family. I'm so blessed to be here. Thank you so much for the invite. This is what I know about all of you and the world. You will do amazing things with the choice each new day brings. And with every breath you take, bless the progress that you make. The reason you live is found in every gift you give. Love your life, love your dreams. You will do amazing things. Amazing, amazing, you will do amazing things. Amazing, amazing, you will do amazing things. Oh, the places you will go and the people you will know. Don't worry when or where or how. You don't have to know right now. You're on the right track. No need to look ahead or back. Just enjoy what this day brings. You will do amazing things. Amazing, amazing, you will do amazing things. You don't have to work it out, just stay in the here and now. Let your mind rest for a little while. Sometimes deepest answers come when you're out there having fun. So close your eyes and take a breath and smile. There is one power and one presence in the universe and in our lives. God the good, omnipotent. There's God and only God. And we are one with this one, never to be separated from it. So it's from this place of oneness I speak a word of blessing on our time together, knowing that all the love, life, light, power, peace, beauty, and joy of God are present as we step into this glorious day together. We say, thank you, God. So be it, and so it is. Amazing, amazing, you will do amazing things. Amazing, we're here to do amazing things. And so it is. Thank you.
What an amazing song that is. Megan, thank you so very, very much. And good morning once again, everyone. I'm Reverend Dr. Jerry Troyer, president of the affiliated New Thought Network, and I would like to welcome you to our first ever Anton retreat. As you may know, the reason for our decision to do this is it's been quite an adventure for all of us the last 18 months or so. Historically, Anton has held an in-person conference for most of our 29 or so years, and we've not been able to do that. Our next one is scheduled for October 25th to the 29th at Unity Village, but we really felt the need for a family reunion. So that's the purpose today, is to renew, refresh, re-energize, any other words that you want to come up with, and have the most amazing day together. So I'm so pleased and so happy and so grateful that you've decided to be with us. We have a wonderful day planned. We have keynotes, Dr. James Mellon in just a few minutes, Mark Anthony Lord, as well as Daniel Nahmod, Megan again, and Christy Snow later on in the day. The full program for today is on our website, www.newthought.org, so feel free to take a look. There will be affinity or breakout sessions, there will be meditations, there will be physical exercises, and there will also be opportunities for you to take care of yourself, do what you need to do, walk the dog, feed the birds, whatever you need to do to make this an absolutely wonderful day. So again, we're so pleased that you are with us. And then don't forget this evening at 5 o'clock Pacific time, I believe it's 5 o'clock Pacific time, we have an absolutely amazing concert with Amy Steinberg, Daniel Nahmod, Christy Snow, and Marcy Baruch. So look forward to having you with us for that. I would like to introduce our beloved Anton administrator, Reverend Dr. John Karn, who will lead us in our opening invocation.
All righty. Let's take some time to go within and connect with our breath. And I close my eyes to shut off the world of effect. The world of effect is confusing, and when we close our eyes, we're better able to concentrate on our breath and to concentrate on everything holy. And so let us know together that there is one power, one presence, one creative cause, one substance, just the one. It goes by many names by many different people around the world as they try to relate to it. But we are all just simply one. We are an extension of the one. And we have all of its attributes within us. And so I affirm for this day that this is a wonderful opening for each one of us. It is a heart-opening experience. There are aha moments. Our presenters are ready to go, and those of us participating are ready to receive. It has already been completed in consciousness, and so now we will experience it in the physical form as well. And so grateful, grateful, grateful to know how this law works, to know how it all unfolds. Grateful to be with my Anton family. Grateful for the wonderful hearts right here and right now. And so I let these words be as I release them, and together we say, and so it is.
And so it is. Thank you, John, very much. So I'd love to spend just a minute or two telling you about the affiliated New Thought Network. Many of you are familiar with us, but in case you're not, Anton is a membership organization of New Thought, Religious Science, Unity, and Divine Science centers, churches, and organizations, as well as individuals, ministers, practitioners, licensed Unity teachers, and students, all on this wonderful path together. We gather, as I mentioned, we gather normally once a year at a conference where we have amazing speakers, wonderful music, and the opportunity to just be together and renew old friendships and create new ones. The 2021 conference will be at Unity Village, October 25th to the 29th, and we'll hear more about that in a minute. www.newthought.org is our website where you can donate if you would like to do so to support what we do in the world, as well as to learn more about membership. And you are invited today to become a member of Anton. It's a short process with just a little bit of documentation required, and we would love it if you would consider joining us. So our conference, October 25th to the 29th at Unity Village with Mitch Horowitz and Paul Selig, as well as music from Melissa and Z. It's going to be just an amazing experience. If you've not been to Unity Village, you really want to go. And if you have been, you know. And the folks at Unity, we've been there the last 3 or 4 years, and they could not have been more gracious with us. Just an absolutely amazing experience. We have a short video to tell you more about our conference.
Hi, this is Mitch. This is just a personal message to let you know how much I'm looking forward to being with you at the ANTN conference at Unity Village in October. New Thought has a message to provide to the searching individual, to the individual in need at this time in our history. And I want that message to be as resounding, to be as powerful, and to be as practical as anything that came from the insights of New Thought's founders in the late 19th and early 20th century.
When you're home.
I take dictation from the guides that I work with.
We're so excited to have you here, right?
I sit in a chair, I close my eyes. I imagine that I'm climbing into the back seat of a car and turning the steering wheel over to the guides that I work with. I'll hear one phrase repeated incessantly, and once I give voice to the one phrase, everything else that my guides have to say comes tumbling out afterwards.
I know for certain that there is more than we've been taught. And I know for certain that everyone in this room is far more extraordinary than they've ever been told.
Pay attention. Yeah. There's no need to wait. 45, you're there.
It's going to be an amazing week at Unity Village, and we so invite you to be with us. Go to our website, www.newthought.org, and click on the link for more information and registration. In addition to our conference and other special events, Anton also conducts a monthly speaker series conversation with key New Thought leaders, authors, and speakers. If you go to our YouTube page, Anton, ANTN members and friends, you can click on various links and watch and listen to recordings from past events. Last month was Kathy Young from CSL. We've spoken with Linda Howe about the Akashic Studies, Cynthia James, Rick Moss, Martha Creek, and many, many other dear ones. So the recordings are there, and the monthly speaker series event happens on the last Thursday of the month at 9:00 a.m. Pacific time. So we invite you to be with us for that this month. And to keep track of all of this, you probably want to be on our email list. And you can go to our website and sign up for that as well, so we can remind you of what's going on within Anton. All right, it is my honor and privilege to introduce our first keynote speaker, Dr. James Mellon, speaking on the quantum explosion. Dr. James holds a doctorate in consciousness studies from the Emerson Theological Institute, which, by the way, is the educational arm of Anton, and is an ordained religious science minister of more than 18 years. He is the founding spiritual director of Global Truth Center LA, where he utilizes his extensive background in entertainment genres to combine the arts with spirituality. He has authored 2 metaphysical books and produced programs used worldwide. He lives in Los Angeles with his Broadway producer, actor, husband of 30 years, Kevin Bailey. Their son, William, is attending Texas State University, majoring in directing and screenwriting. Their daughter, Nora, Will's twin sister, made her transition in 2018 and continues providing the family with her love, light, and guidance. And I'm thrilled to tell you that Global Truth Center is one of our newest members of Anton. So it gives me great pleasure to introduce our first keynote speaker, Dr. James Mellon. Good morning.
Good morning. Wow, after that video of the upcoming conference, I feel like I want to just get up and dance, just boogie into this talk. So good morning, everyone. I want to say first of all how honored I am to be asked to speak here today and to get to kick this off. You know, my life has been really insane during the last, 30 years. Since I left my Broadway career and moved into ministry, thanks to Dr. David Walker, who gave a talk one Sunday in Los Angeles while I was here in Los Angeles doing a musical, and my entire life changed. As soon as I heard that man speak, and I was a student of Eric Butterworth's up to that point in New York City, but when I heard Dr. David Walker speak, I don't know what he said or how he said it, but my heart just sunk into the ground, and I've lived in LA ever since, and started my career as a religious science minister, which now I don't even like to say religious science minister because I think it's too small. It's too myopic. I like to now say New Thought, which is why this organization is a perfect fit for me, because it is New Thought, and it's actually the amalgamation of all religions, as Ernest Holmes taught. There is something common in all religions that brings us to a common place where we get to experience one another on a very quantum level. So, as Jerry said, the title of my talk today is The Quantum Explosion, and I am going to share with you, here we go, share with you a PowerPoint that I put together for this. For all of you visual learners, you'll get to follow along with me on this journey as we go through the quantum explosion. And I'm going to start with a question for you, and here's the question. If an explosion happened on the other side of the world and you didn't hear it, would it have happened in the first place? Now, I know it's like saying if a tree falls in the woods and you didn't hear it, would it have really fallen? But here's the thing. It's an important question, and it's a question I want you to really entertain this morning, because these are the kind of questions we're actually answering in quantum physics, which I like to call quantum metaphysics. So I really want you to ask that question. When things don't happen in your presence, did they happen? Well, here's the interesting thing about that. The answer is yes and no. The answer is yes, because on a quantum level, of course it happened. But on an individual level for you, it did not happen. It's not in your purview. It's in your DNA, but it's not in your purview. So it's logical in quantum physics to bring up the fact that if you are the observer observing something, if you haven't observed it, it hasn't happened. Now, I thought I'd start with that kind of question just to get you all awake enough to go, what the hell is he talking about? So that way you're going to have to pay attention to find out what the hell I am talking about. Because when you go into quantum physics, you're suddenly saying, what? In fact, the reason I teach this now, and this is a brand new course called Advanced Consciousness, which I'll talk about later, through the Emerson Institute. But the reason why I teach it is because people have been like nudging me saying, all right, we did Science of Mind 100, 200, 300, we all became practitioners, we did 400, we all became ministers, or whatever you do in Unity, however you get through that in Unity or any other divine science. And it's like, now what? We go back and regurgitate the same stuff over and over and over and over? I don't think so. So this new thing came along called Advanced Consciousness, and I just have to tell you, for me, I thought it was going to be really fun to teach some books that I haven't really read before. And all of a sudden, here I am, we're on week 26, and I'm like, my head is just exploding off my shoulders. It has just funneled into every aspect of my life. But I want to start with this quote There's advanced consciousness. That's the course that we're working on right now. So here's the quote. We all look forward to the day, from Ernest Holmes. It's the beginning of the book. We all look forward to the day when science and religion shall walk hand in hand through the visible to the invisible. What's the invisible? Well, frankly, that's the quantum field. That is the particle field, the smallest field of energy that you could possibly contemplate is the quantum field. And it is alive and vibrant and thriving, and it's everything that makes up who you are. And in fact, when you really get involved in quantum metaphysics, you start understanding it's not about what's out here. It's about what's in here. We know that. I know I'm speaking to the choir here. We know that. It's about consciousness, 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 consciousness. Ernest Holmes, I believe, was a pioneer without a map. I think Ernest Holmes was a brilliant teacher, brilliant man, who basically, how do I say this without being disrespectful? He didn't really know what he was talking about. He just knew what he was talking about. See the difference? He didn't know. He didn't have these answers. He didn't understand quantum physics. He didn't even pursue that line of thinking, but he knew inside in 1927 and the years prior to that book being written and the many he wrote after. And frankly, if you read some of his later offerings, like the seminar lectures, you're going to see him start changing his tune and move into something new, which is where we all need to take off from. So he didn't really have a map. He just had a consciousness that would talk to us about things that we had to take, kind of like we did in our old religions. We just had to take it on faith. Yes, there is one mind. There is one God, one energy, and it's who I am. It's who you are. You look at the 5 steps of treatment, which, by the way, he did not write. He had 2 steps of treatment. God is, I am, now live your life. That's basically what Ernest Holmes taught. God is, I am, go live your life. And then along the way, you know, people want to make things linear and they want to give you the 10 steps to this and the 20 steps to this. So we have 5 steps to treatment. But they weren't his. His was God is, I am, go live your life. So he didn't have a map, but what he had was an intuitive knowing. And as did the Fillmores, as did all the great metaphysicians, Emma Curtis Hopkins, Phineas Quimby. Go back to Plato. They all had this intuitive knowing, and they didn't have the map to map it out for us. And you know what we're finding out? We're actually finding out we don't need a map. In fact, a map just keeps us so linear that we're kind of missing everything on the side or in the back or up above or down below, because time and space and all that we are is not linear. So I want to go to a quote from Raymond Hollowell. Raymond Hollowell wrote a book, 11 Truth Principles for Successful Living, and he said this: our greatest fear is that we will not be big enough to meet the demands of the day. Now just think about that for a second. Our greatest fear is that we will not be big enough to meet the demands of the day. It's like Marianne Williamson saying, our greatest fear is that we're too big, is that we're so big we can't even comprehend it. Well, they're both saying the same thing. So Hollowell's saying our greatest fear is that we won't be big enough to meet the demands of the day, and along comes quantum physics, quantum science, saying to us, oh my dear, you are so much bigger than anything you could have ever imagined. Oh, and by the way, who you are is all of it. As Rumi says, you are the entire ocean in a drop. You're not just a drop. You are not just a part of. And let me just disabuse you of that notion that Ernest Holmes clarified in the seminar lectures. One of the last things he wrote was his understanding that we are not part of God. We are not one with God. He says there's nothing to be a part of, and there's nothing to be one with. We are it. The thing itself is what we are. And we're still kind of treading along with the I'm a little speck in that major thing called God. No, you're not. You're not a speck. You're not a particle of dust. You're not the dirt. You're none of it. You are all of it and all of that too. So if Ernest Holmes at the end of his life decided, let's get clear on this. I am is the entire meal. I am. That's it. Go home. Thank you. Thank you for your time. I am. That's it. I live that. I understand that, and my life changes. So I want to tell you a little bit about the history of Global Truth Center, which is my center. I was a CSL minister for 20 some odd years. We just went independent not even a year ago. And the reason for that was because I started to understand that in order to grow and expand, I needed to have the ability to know things beyond the box that any one religion puts you in or any one organization puts you in, which is why I love Affiliated New Thought Network. Because basically, it's like quantum physics. It is the quantum field. It's taking all the particles, all the myriad of churches and organizations and people who know there's something more, and yet are putting themselves under the umbrella of something that literally is open, not at the top, at the side, at the bottom, everywhere. So that's why I'm here. So to me, Anton is really like this quantum field, particles connected through space and all of it. Along the way in my ministry, we all start out, for all you ministers on here, we all start out teaching what we've learned. But there has to come a day when we start learning about what we teach. See the difference? I taught for a long time what I learned. Now I'm starting to learn about what I taught. I'm questioning it. I'm throwing it through the washer in the agitated cycle, as someone said to me last night, and I am giving myself the ability to question everything.
Oh, this is not good.
Which, by the way, is the entire vision of my advanced consciousness class. When I came in, I said to the class, I said, guys, here's our motto. Question everything. Everything. Nothing is sacred. Question everything. I don't know about the rest of you who are teachers. That's not the easiest thing to tell your class to do, especially when you have 20 really forward-thinking people who are willing to question everything that comes out of your mouth and everything that comes out of somebody else's mouth. But it's been 26 weeks of what this talk is about, the quantum explosion, where everyone is just feeling this resurgence. There's another re, the resurgence of what we learned. How do we apply it today? And part of it is the I am God dilemma. Many people call me the I am God minister. And a lot of people have problems with that. Certainly, a lot of people have problems with that if they're coming from a Christian background or a religious background, that I am God sounds sacrilegious. Except it is so not. It's what Ernest Holmes taught. God is, I am, now live. Live from the I am. Live from who you know yourself to be. So this I am God, I think the problem with I am God is that people think you're saying I am God and Michelle Whittington is not, which would just be absurd. I am God and, Megan. If there's any example of God, it's that song. It's that voice that just came to us before this. That's God showing itself perfectly, and not a part of God, not something that is one with God. Megan is God. Every aspect of her being is God, good, bad, or indifferent. One of the things Ernest Holmes also said was, at the end of his life, he said, this absolute and relative, he said, it's all one thing. There's no relative. There's not absolute and relative. There is the absolute. Sometimes it experiences itself on the relative level, but it's still the absolute. We say it all the time. It's all God. It's all God. Well, if it's all God, you are God. Did you somehow find yourself outside of the realm of the allness of life? No, you are all that God is, I am. And that is a quantum idea for you to really dig into and say, wait, if I am all of it, why am I having all of these problems? Why is life difficult when life is difficult? And I'm not saying that challenges aren't going to come along. They are. But boy, when challenges come along to God, it's a whole different story than when challenges come along to James Mellon, when I suddenly think I am James Mellon, one with, and sometimes apart from. Do you get the point there? So the I am God dilemma in my ministry is one of the reasons why I went independent, so I could just get out from under any of those questions and start just speaking from the absolute authentic place of I am God.
This is for a bunch of people, right?
So, oops, someone's unmuted. Not a problem. It's all God. I have this thing on my wall that says, God is speaking no matter who's talking. It's been very good during the last so many years in this country. God is speaking no matter who's talking. So shut up and listen no matter whether you want to hear it or not. And then do with it as you will from the God state of consciousness. So just this week, I want you to look at this. Just this week in the New York Times, it said, a tiny particle's wobble could upend the known law of physics. So, you know, while we're out here living the big life, quantum physicists are in there looking through these microscopes and finding out why are we who we are, how are we who we are, and what's the smallest particle we can find in ourselves, right? So they found this particle that was wobbling in ways it shouldn't have. And you know scientists, they just put these little tiny little sweet beings, these little particles, these little things, these quarks, and they put them through all these tests. And they're supposed to do what they're supposed to do. If we understand them, then they're going to do what they're supposed to do, because that's science. We want to know that it's linear. It's what we think it is. Well, it wasn't. This particle started wobbling in ways that they couldn't understand. And I just loved reading this article because it was like, oh my God, a little wobble is going to upend all of physics. What a great idea. It's going to tell us, stop thinking you know me. Because guess what? When you get to know me, there's something behind me that's bigger than even I am. And now you're going to have to figure that out. So that's where quantum physics is right now. And he says in the article, it said, there are forms of matter and energy vital to the nature and evolution of the cosmos that are not yet known to science. And there's the words, not yet known. Not yet known. I would like to disabuse you today of everything you think you know and invite you to join me into this wonderful field of, as one of my students says, meaning the entire world is waiting for us to say, I don't know. Now what can I know? Just to open our minds up, to stop being boxed in by what we think we know. Even going back to Ernest Holmes saying, there is one mind. Is there? Is there one mind? Or is that just something that was said in 1927 because that was the reference he had? Is it a mind? And what is mind? If it's consciousness, that works for me. What is mind? Well, there is one energetic field that we know of so far. So far, because at the end of the day, that is the theme of my entire ministry now. I don't know. Now, what can I know? So those are very, very important words. Today, I want to claim what you don't know. Claim that you are a vessel of pure imagination that is ready to rise up inside of you and move mountains. That was on Facebook this morning. I have a beautiful college student that takes my talks on Sunday, and she just goes through them and pulls these things out and puts these great images with them and sends them out into the world of memes and Instagram, and just so that my message gets heard by a lot of different people that will hear it in a different way. So as I was preparing this morning, I opened Facebook, and there's this meme that she just sent. Today I want to claim what you don't know. So that's what I'd like to give you today. In the idea of a quantum explosion, let's just imagine that your mind has gone blank. This explosion has happened, and you're like, oh my God, who am I? What am I? What do I know? And what can I know? Now we're ready to really understand the I am God. Now we're really ready to understand, as Ernest Holmes and many of our forefathers did, to understand it from a deeply rooted place of feeling, absolute feeling, knowing the truth. So Paul Levy wrote a book called The Quantum Revelation. It's the book that we're on right now. It's an amazing book. And if you want some verification, I will read you what Sting said about it. Because of course, if Sting said it, this is true. He said the quantum revelation is mind-blowing. Well, it is. It's completely mind-blowing. So just read this for a second. To realize that the world is in our minds is to realize that our minds are in the world, which is to recognize that psyche and matter are not separate from each other. Right? Megan's getting it. So, right? This is it. This is what we are here to actually get. I am the 300-year-old oak tree in my backyard. Why does it amaze me so much? Why is it so amazing? Why? Because I am that oak tree. That oak tree is me. We are all made from this amazing energetic field of pure creativity. That's what God is. That's what I am. So saying I am God is not actually saying I'm that guy in the sky. That guy in the sky never existed. But energy did. And this quantum field of pure intelligence did. So the chair you're sitting right now and you are one. Now, your chair might not have consciousness. I don't know. Talk to it. See what it says. They may come and take you away if you try to do that. Or do not walk into Starbucks and say, when they ask you for your name for the cup, probably don't say God. Because they're probably going to go, okay, and be on the phone in 2 seconds. No, these are just truths that we get to live from. But this is a biggie. This understanding that the psyche and matter are not separate from each other. So where does that put you? What's that do for you in your life? Well, when I recognize that I am, here we go, when I am all that there is, I have such a deep respect for life and for people and for everyone. You know, we look at Megan, who's in Minneapolis, right? Minneapolis, Minnesota. And we all know what's going on there. If there's ever been a time in our lives, I'm getting all emotional now. If there's ever been a time in our lives that we need quantum physics to teach us that we are one, it's now. Ageism, sexism, racism, all that's going on in our world, it exists because people don't know who they are. And frankly, it exists because there's no one there to teach them who they are. We're still attached to this idea of separateness, this duality, that God is here and I am here. Even in New Thought, we're still seeing tons of duality. And it is time for us to step out of this idea of duality. And Louise Hay said it. She said, you have the power to change your life, and you need to know that. We think so often that we're helpless, but we're not. We always have the power of our minds. Claim and consciously use your power. Well, guess what? I think it's time. Today, it's time for us to claim our power. And not as something we use. I love Ernest Holmes. I really do. When he says there's a power for good in the universe and you can use it. Actually what he says is, there's a power for good in the universe greater than you are, and you can use it. And I love Ernest Holmes, but did you have to say greater than I am? Because now we're back to duality. There's a power for good in the universe greater than I am, but you can use it. But that's where they were. That was the next step. To say there's a power greater than I am and you can use it. That was palpable for some people. They were like, oh, I get it, okay. But now, there is a power for good in the universe, and you can use it because you are it. That's what Louise Hay was saying. That you have a power inside of you that is yours to claim and yours to use as soon as you know who's using it. Who is it that's using it? Well, Kim is using it. Kim's using it because she knows who she is. So when you know who you are, you get to use it. When you own it, you get to use it. And it's about ownership. It's time for us as New Thought leaders to start really getting out there and using it and teaching what this is all about. Paul Levy said this. He said, the biggest breakthrough in modern physics is the recognition that whatever we say about the state of a physical system is always limited and approximate. So again, I want to ask you, are you willing to not know what you think you know in order to know what you do know? And I think I know what I just said. Are you willing to not know what you think you know in order to know what you do know? Everybody follow that? I heard it come out of my mouth. I was like, what did you just say? Are you willing to not know what you think you know in order to know what you do know? That's really the big question for all of us today. And I'm not saying we shouldn't be using The Power of Decision by Raymond Charles Barker and This Thing Called You by Ernest Holmes. Those are amazing books. Amazing. Can't get it out of my head. They're amazing books. But are you willing to take those books and move forward from them? Still teach them. Still use these amazing works of philosophy and intelligence. But expand on them. Take new thought to the next level. Because one of the things that Paul Levy says is that we are all collaboratively creating the universe together. Everything you think changes the universe on some level. Every idea you have puts a ripple into this thing called this field of creative energy. Every time you have an aha moment, the universe wakes up. Think about that. When you look at an ocean and find your heart swelling, how many of you do that? How many of you look at the ocean and just go, oh my God, right? I'm one of those people that every time I go to the ocean to look at it, I swear to God, the seals and dolphins know I'm there. They always come out to greet me. In fact, we do a retreat every year, and just now I was having a meeting with Reverend Karen Oxrider about our retreat, and she said, don't forget to put your order in for the dolphins and the seals for the retreat. And I'm like, I have an eternal invoice into the dolphins. When I show up, you show up. That's how we do it. Because we're collaborating this thing called the universe together. And when I see the ocean and those dolphins start to, Kevin and I got married in Malibu when it was legal. We got married first the time in Southampton, then in Malibu when it was legal. And just as we were saying our vows, there were dolphins that decided to act like they were at SeaWorld. And they were just jumping up. And I remember my daughter, Nora, she was like, Dad, did you see the dolphins? I went, I was expecting the dolphins, Nora. They were on call. It was like, cue the dolphins. I do. Yay! That's the universe that we get to live in. And when we see that and our hearts swell wide open, it's because we are the ocean. We are the dolphins. We are all of that. We are intrinsically linked. And everything we do affects the dolphins. And everything the dolphins do affects us. That's the world we're living in. And they are proving it day after day after day after day. Paul Levy said everything depends upon nothing, absolutely nothing, other than if we recognize what is being revealed to us or not. So are you ready? Are you ready to start recognizing what's really happening in your world? Are you ready to start really noticing, and that's KNOWTI, whatever that is, noticing, no TICING. Are you noticing? You willing to notice when you walk down the street the energy coming off of that tree? The smile coming out of that child's face. Do you ever have one of those little children? You're walking down the street and some little child just turns and stares at you and won't break its gaze with you because it hasn't been taught it's rude to stare yet, right? It just knows, oh my God, I am you. You are me. Look at that. Have you ever just gotten into a stare lock with a child? It is really cool. It can be uncomfortable for the adult because, of course, we've been told, don't stare. It's not your child. But I got to tell you, it's time for us to notice things like that. Why do they happen? I guarantee you, for every single one of you, there's something happening in your life every single day that if you were willing to be aware of it, your heart would open further and further and further. And I believe that if we do that more and more and more and more, really be, as he says, recognize what is being revealed to us, the universe is talking to us at all times. That's why I love Megan's song. I did a conference about 5 years ago called the Bigger Game Conference in upstate New York. And it was great. Elizabeth Gilbert was there, and it was just great. And I was the closing keynote. And Rick Tamlin, who runs it, said to me, he said, would you do me a favor? Would you mind singing during your keynote? Would you mind singing something? And I said, yeah, if I know it. He said, well, I just heard this song, and I would love you to sing it. It's called Amazing. And I was like, of course I know that song. So we literally closed the conference with what you just opened the conference with. And I stood up there singing Amazing, and it was amazing. It was so much fun. And that was really the fact that Megan somehow was the song before I got to speak, that's not an accident. That's divine right action. That's the universe conspiring for Megan and I to be able to say the exact same thing, which is, you will do amazing things because you already are doing amazing things. It's just time that you actually notice that you're doing amazing things. And the more you notice, you know what they say, what we focus on expands. So if you're willing to notice that you're doing amazing things, it's going to just keep expanding quantitatively. Einstein said this, imagination is far more important than knowledge, for knowledge is limited, whereas imagination embraces the entire world. So I think my final question to you before we do a little bit of Q&A is, what can you imagine for yourself as you move forward in this field of pure potentiality? In New Thought, we teach that God is all there is. Well, as it turns out, years later, we find out that that's correct. God is all there is, provided that you understand that God is a field of pure potentiality. We believe that the self-givingness of spirit from itself to the individual is what love is. As it turns out, that actually happens to be true, because the self-givingness of God from itself to the individual is the field of pure potentiality, creating each one of us and giving us the opportunity to choose how we want to use it. The last chapter of his first 4 chapters is how to use it in the Science of Mind textbook. How to use it. How do you use it? Well, frankly, you use it by letting your imagination tap into who you already are and then allow it to bring itself into your consciousness. And then don't debate it. Don't argue it down with your ordinary logic. I like to live in the world of spiritual logic, because in spiritual logic land, I can make sense out of everything. Absolutely everything. The logical mind is one of those things that really gets us and keeps us sometimes in a lot of trouble, because it's not logical to think that I can move mountains. And that was the title of my talk last Sunday, Moving Mountains. You know, and I asked my congregation, I said, how many of you think you can walk outside and move the Santa Monica Mountains just with your mind? Nobody thinks they can go move the Santa Monica Mountains with their mind. Frankly, why would you want to? They're really beautiful. Karen hikes them every day. So, but can you move mountains? No, because we still are in this logical idea of moving a mountain's impossible, because what would that entail? I'd have to go, I don't know, how would I do it? Dig it out. How do you move a mountain? I mean, it seems insurmountable to move a mountain. But in consciousness, everything is possible. Do you know how you move a mountain? I'm going to show you right now. Here's how you move a mountain. Okay, there are the Santa Monica Mountains. I've just closed my eyes, and they're not there. Because as I asked you at the beginning, if an explosion happened on the other side of the world, did it happen if I didn't hear it? Well, in the quantum field of the individual experience of life, those mountains are now not there. And now I'm going to take my mind, and I'm going to go over here. And I'm going to put in my mind, my imaginative, brilliant mind, I'm going to see the Santa Monica Mountains. I just moved them from there to here. And I didn't even break into a sweat. That's how you move mountains. And that's why the imagination is so, so, so powerful. So at the end of the day, does an explosion happen if you're not there to hear it? In your world, no. In the universal world, yes. Is there a difference? No. Is there a difference? Yes. Is the ending result of all of this the fact that, actually, yes. And the more I'm willing to say, I don't know, the more I'm willing to say, I know nothing. Now, what can I know? The universe is ready to explode through you and take you on a journey you haven't even begun to imagine. That's the quantum metaphysics of New Thought. Namaste. Thank you,
Dr.
everybody. And
James, thank you so much.
absolutely, Jerry. No, I was going to say, and Jerry's going to ask me any questions he has, and then I am here for. I mean, we have another 5-6 minutes for anybody to ask me anything they want to ask me.
And let me start by thanking you again. That just was so wonderful. If someone wanted more information on your course, Advanced Consciousness, will you be starting that again soon? Where should they go for more information?
It is going to be a yearly course that I teach now, which is, it'll start next September, the next 40 weeks. It's 40 weeks and it helps people move towards getting their doctorates or their master's degree. It is part of the program to give people an opportunity to advance their consciousness. So yeah, it'll start every year in September. So, but I can only take, right now I'm only taking 20 students because it's a lot. I have to read all their papers each week. It's just a lot of work, but it's exciting work.
So if I wanted more information about the course starting in September, would I go to
globaltruthcenter.org.
globaltruthcenter.org.
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. Thank you so much. I have many comments and I don't want to hog up all the time. So we've got about 3 minutes, 3 or 4 minutes. If you have a question, feel free to put them in the chat box.
Oh, the chat box. Okay, let me look there. Great. Okay. Oh, well, thank you, Cerise. The whole earth is shifting from this truth being shared again. Yes. Thank you so much. You put into word what I've been currently experiencing. Oh, I'm so glad to hear that. globaltruthcenter.org. If you also have, if you know how to put your hand up, if you have a question, just put your hand up and speak right to us all.
Even better. Thank you.
Yeah. So I'm looking at all the pages, and I guess you guys will have to figure out if anybody's hand's up.
There's a reaction button on the on your Zoom. If you click that, you can raise your hand electronically, and then we'll see it.
Or even just do this to me, and I'll know that you want to be unmuted. Yes, Suzanne, could you unmute them? Oh, I guess I can. Yes, hold on. Go ahead. There you go. Go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hi, actually, I was thinking you brought two of my favorite songs to mind. One, Suzanne put in the chat box, is by Devotion. It's Stop, Step Back, Breathe, and Be Open. The other is a wonderful little song from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. If you remember the song Pure Imagination.
Come with me and you'll be in a world of pure imagination. Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
By one of my favorite composing teams, by the way, Newley and Brickus.
Oh, my God, yes. One of the first shows I ever did was Stop the World, I Want to Get Off. Me and 9 women at Temple University. It was a joy.
Were you little chap?
I was little chap.
Ah, okay.
Gonna build a mountain from a little hill. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yes, we can have that conversation sometime.
Absolutely. Thank
Awesome.
you. Anyone else want to raise their hand or? Okay, everybody. Mark Anthony Lord, it's so great to see you up there. I just noticed you, my dear friend.
I want to speak up for a moment because that was
Hi.
fantastic talk, James. I haven't heard you in years, and I'm like, damn, he's growing in the great direction. You helped me. Thank you today. Thank you. That was beautiful.
Oh, I can't wait to hear you speak later.
Well, it's all quantum time. We'll be there in a moment.
Carolyn, go ahead, Carolyn.
Thank you, and thank you so much. You know, I went through a period many moons ago when I got divorced, which went against all my Christian teachings, that, okay, I'm getting rid of everything. You know, I believe that God loves me, and I believe he exists and loves me. God exists and loves me, and everything else is up for grabs. And, and somebody sent me the Science of Mind magazine at that point in time. And then recently, I'm like, you know, people have said, you need to be a practitioner. I'm like, I can't. It puts me in a box. I can't be in that box. I'm happy to help anybody, pray for anybody, do anything I can, but I can't go in a box. And that's nothing against practitioners. If that's your calling and that's what you do, bless you. I love you. That's just me. That's my thing. And then I thought too, I was thinking too, Ernest Holmes was such this open, forward thinking, out of the box person. And I feel like the movement is to try to stay in his box. And he would never have wanted us to stay in his box. So I hope that this encourages everybody to say, hey, it's okay to question Ernest. He questioned everybody, and everybody wants to do that. So thank you so much. I mean, this just really told me I'm okay.
That is great. And I'm so glad you said that. I didn't bring it up in my notes, but I have to say, one of the things, and thank you, Carolyn, one of the things that Ernest Holmes said towards the end of his life is, if you're still studying what I'm saying now in 50 years, you missed the point of what I'm saying now.
Yeah.
I live by that. You know, I still want to read what he wrote, but we need to move on. Angelo?
Dr. James, I want you to know that you are a deep blessing and you're a deep love for all of us at Emerson Institute. You're helping us continue to be who we are. Thank you, James.
Well, you are too. Dr. Angelo was in my ministerial panels, and we brought in a number of dignitaries to speak to the ministerial class. And when Angelo spoke, by the time he finished, everybody was in tears. And all I kept getting on the chat was, oh my God, I feel like I'm listening to the male version of Mother Teresa. I loved that quote, by the way. Angelo Pizzello, Mother Teresa in men's clothing. Yes.
Thank you. God bless you. Love only, James.
Absolutely. Thank you.
One more question from Paul Hoyt, and then we need to close out.
Yes.
James, brilliant. I love it. In many of my classes, I'll be speaking to somebody in the class and going, it's God speaking to God. So the question I wanted to get from you is, how much blowback do you get from that expression, from that we are all God?
Well, as you can see, I've gone independent. That's number one. So I got a lot of blowback from CSL, and I respect and love them. They're on their own journey, but they just were not ready for this type of ministry. And you know, it's interesting. A year ago, I took over the Westlake Center for Spiritual Living, and it merged in with Global Truth Center. And that center had a lot of pushback to I am God. So but I don't pull back just because there's pushback. But I have to say, once you hear the truth, even if you push back, there's something in you that just says, I need to just listen to this. Wait a minute. So it's actually going very well now.
Cool.
Excellent.
And thanks for asking, Paul.
Thank you. Thank you. Dr. James, thank you again so very, very much. I would like to welcome Michael Benjamin, who will pray us out of this session. And just a reminder, stay with us Daniel Namod will be with us here in just a couple of minutes for a spiritual practice, and then we have some other connection and musical and practices coming up. So Michael Benjamin, good morning. Okay, well, then it will be my honor to pray us out. So I just invite you to take a deep breath of gratitude, of inspiration, of willingness to not know. And we stay in this consciousness that we are the essence, expression, and experience of spirit, of the universe, of God, of our higher power, of whatever we choose to call it. We give great thanks for Dr. James. We give thanks for Megan for the opportunity to be all together today. So I bless this glorious day in gratitude, in love, in light, in great joy. Thank you, thank you. And together we say, and so it is.